Hello, my name is Carol Flavin. Today I'm going to talk to you about how I made an extremely long viaduct on my layout, which is called the Edge Hey Strines Railway. Now, originally this layout was L-shaped, and just before lockdown I decided I'd like to expand it, and my husband helped me build the base boards, and we turned it into a very big square. To get into the middle of the square, there is a lift-up bridge. This is all on the front edge as you go into the door. So starting over on the left-hand side, there is an area of cliffs up above a village. This leads on to the lift-up bridge, which has an iron bridge on it. There is a section, quite a long section, of this viaduct, which sits on concrete pillars. It then goes across and over the top of a bit of hillside that has a tunnel in it, is the lower level track. And then it comes to a corner. And that corner is right in front of you as you go in through the door. So I wanted to make that interesting, or particularly interesting, so I turned it into a Victorian viaduct with balustrades and columns. And then as you go round that corner, it leads to a station which sits above a buttressed retaining wall, and then subsequently some railway arches with shops in, and rides up above the factory area. There are videos on all of these areas in my YouTube channel, which is here. It was an interesting challenge to make all of this because there is gradient in it. I needed it to meet up basically with other things that I was making. There was quite a complicated corner that I used plywood, which we cut out. And I just wanted it to look different, interesting, something that caught your attention. So I'm going to show you how I made all the different aspects of it. I will say, by the way, that the most challenging part was making the lift-up bridge so that it works. I do have to lift bits and pieces on and off. And there is a lower level track as well, which also has to go across it. And all of the track, of course, has to function. So I will touch on how I made that work as well. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I hope you find it interesting, and I'll speak to you again at the end. Okay. You can see on this map, made for me by my brother, David H. Smith, the higher level track runs all the way round my layout and is just a large continuous loop. In order to make it, we brought a 4-foot by 2-foot part of my original layout and put it right in front of the doorway. Now that was already modelled and had scenery on it, and I made quite major adaptations to it to allow it to join across the front. We then put the lift-up bridge in place, and I made that ultimately, because I quite like the idea of it, into like a country park with a lake on it. I used this Modelux iron bridge across part of the lift up section, and that stays permanently, so when it's lifted up it's there. I then started to create a lake, which always amuses me because when it's on its side the water stays in place, because that's the lift up bridge. It runs off and makes a whitewater river, and as you can see as we move across here, I had to alter the top of a tunnel area. I had to flatten off part of this already landscaped piece in order to make it all fit. But there is a lower level track, and that goes under a bridge as well. We then built what the viaduct was going to stand on by cutting out some thick plywood in the shape that the track was going to make. My husband did this. I couldn't have done it without him, actually. And you can see that I started the process of levelling off the top of a tunnel in order to create it. I made concrete pillars for it to stand on. And those concrete pillars, which you can see there, are made of blocks of loft insulation foam, which I wrapped some wallpaper around, textured wallpaper, and painted. And what I'm showing you is progress on turning it into looking like real landscape or scenery. We did some test runs because this actually is a sloping area. There is an incline. I used the Wills Victorian bridge kits to make this balustraded area. I had some already and I bought some other ones and I painted them silver. I'm just showing you a little bit of what it looks like underneath now. The white water bit, these are the back of the columns, and this is another bit showing you a train, actually, well, it's stationary, but on the actual viaduct itself. Looking underneath so that you can see where the lower level track also runs round the layout. I'm standing on the inside of the layout now, showing you a train rising up on the viaduct and then going round the corner. There's the lift up bridge. I solved the problem of how to join the track when I saw these Model Tech rail aligners. They came at exactly the time I needed them. And what I've done is I've stuck some track down on some plastic and put the rail liners on the ends so that I can join the track easily. And I'm just showing you a little bit more about what the lake looks like, because it was an area that I really enjoyed making, because it's the first time I'd actually made a lake with a surface on it using the technique that I use, which is structure gel and heavy structure gel, which is shown in a number of other things, including this video on how I made the lake and also the harbour video that I've done. I'm just going to show you my camera train running round the section that I'm talking about here. Now I start up above the village, looking inwards, driving the train across the viaduct, looking out across the whole of the layout, and it turns round the corner. The next one is the camera train facing forwards, running straight across the viaduct, again as far as the corner. And then the final one is the lower level track going across the lift up bridge and underneath the viaduct, so you can see a little bit more of what the viaduct looks like from the point of view of where you're sitting on a train. As we come through the tunnel, you'll see the columns on the right hand side of the Victorian balustrade. I made those out of thick balsa wood and straws, believe it or not. I also showing you a couple of trains running on the layout. I did these with a couple of my grandchildren, James and Jodie. Fairly short, just showing you a couple of the trains that they chose to put on it, running across the viaduct, round the corner, past the harbour and through into the tunnel by the mountains. I hope you enjoyed that, possibly got some useful ideas from it. As I did say, it was quite challenging. Some of it took me quite a long time to work out. Finding the Model Tech rail aligners when I did was pretty good timing, actually. And overall, I'm quite pleased with it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found something interesting in what I've talked about here. I'm sure I will speak to you again soon because I have other videos. at least in the planning stage. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.